What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of Banca Podcast in English. I'm your host, Mark, aka Marquinho, aka Eche Segovia, alongside two of my co-hosts, Aurelio Ramirez. What's going on, Aurelio?
Not much. How you guys doing tonight?
Doing good, bro. Doing good. If I was any better, I'd be you. Fidel,
If
how's
that,
going
if that
on,
was
bro?
me, I'll be watching the game.
That's for sure.
I know there's a couple games going on. What's going on, Fidel?
Man, doing good, man. I'm excited about this summer. There's a lot of soccer going on, and I'm already watching some games on TV right now, so I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, for sure, man. Obviously, we got Nations Cup semifinals that we're going to talk about later on, and it's going on right now. USA won 1-0 prior to the show coming on. We also got Combo World Cup qualifiers. I know Argentina was playing against Chile. I haven't looked at the score yet to see what it looks like, but I'm sure it's a pretty good game. For those out there listening to us or watching us on the chat, keep us updated. We love to see the updates. We love to see the interaction. But dude, a lot of trophies have been handing out these last couple of days. Obviously for those who watched the Spanish show prior, we obviously talked Liga MX finals, which we won't talk about too much here. The championship in Salvador, obviously as well, because Salvadorian, Fidel Salvadorian, Aurelio loves Salvadorian food, so it's all good, So shout out to those teams, FAS de Salvador. Congratulations for winning a title over there. It's been years for those guys, but not any more than Cruz Azul, who waited 23 long ass years to finally win championship in Mexico. So shout out to those guys and those fans out there, obviously for those guys. But when we're talking trophies, there's two big trophies in soccer that everybody wants to lift up: the World Cup and the Champions League. And this past weekend, we had a little get together at my place, and we did a live show to watch Man City versus Chelsea. And for a second time in their history, the Chelsea Blues lift up the Champions League trophy and become champions of Europe. I know Fidel's happy. I know he was excited. He was jumping around at the house. He didn't know how to act. He kept forgetting. He forgot things. He almost forgot his baby. He left his baby behind.
Very true.
But I'm going to let you take the role on this one, man. Obviously, I'll let you go first talking about this Champions League final. The floor is yours, my man.
Yo, well, you got to see it as two sides, right? You see the Chelsea side, a team that's coming in with a lot of surprises. Everybody was like, yo, what's your black horse? It's got to be Chelsea. My Chelsea has potential. They just need the right coach, right? I think Tuchel came in at the right moment. Without a doubt, he played the same style that he's been playing all champions throughout this elimination. The way he played against Madrid and now Man City, it was the same style. And previously, too, of course. But let's talk about the other side, too. You got a Man City who came in, a Pep Guardiola who actually made a lot of subs. Not a lot of subs, but he made some changes in his lineup, which didn't apply to what he was really playing and what was really working for him, right? And that kind of made it complicated. But then you got to look at another thing, a very important detail. These teams play each other in the Premier League. The teams know each other very well in the Premier League. They don't just play regular season games, but they also play the FA Cup, and now they're playing the Champions League final. So it's like, that's when you feel the pressure, and there was a Chelsea who was coming in, not losing when Tuchel was in charge against Pep Guardiola. And now you have all the pressure against you because you also want to win the first title for Man City. And then you come in surprisingly making some subs. Well, we know Chelsea's story. We miss a lot of chances and we can't finish. But if we can create a lot of chances, one or two will eventually go in. And that's exactly what happened on this game. And we're expecting a Chelsea to maybe not sit back all the way into the area, maybe 3/4 of the field, but to be able to counterattack a Man City who wasn't really ready or study it really well with what it was. You have a Mount on one side, you have a Werner on the other side, and then you got Kyle Havertz through the middle. So luckily we were able to get that one goal with an exceptional pass and a lucky bounce on behalf of Havertz and be able to score. So that's what we were hoping for, a one goal so that we can put even more pressure on Man City. Of course, you had injuries to De Bruyne. But then again, you have a Conte who's very capable of stopping anybody in the midfield, very capable of anticipating anybody, and very capable of exploding into the offense as well, not just defense. So that kind of fell into the positive side of Chelsea. I'm really proud of Chelsea, man. We're so full of joy, bro. I'm excited. I'm still celebrating until today. And I just got to say, to a certain extent, people underestimated Chelsea. But at the end of the day, potential and youth overcame experience, and I'm happy for us.
Let me ask you this question, man, before I get to you, Aurelio. But Fidel, let me ask you this question. Obviously, we watched the first half, a very active first half for Chelsea, very offensive, a lot of velocity, a lot of running up and down, right? Did you feel nervous when Chelsea kept missing opportunities, especially Timo Werner? Again, him missing his scoring boots. I don't know where he put them. He must have left them back in Leipzig in Germany. But he's been having a hard time, man, and unfortunately for him, he doesn't score the easy goals that are given to him. Were you nervous?
Well, yeah, of course. You have to be. In these situations, you don't know what to expect, right? I mean, out of 10 chances, you can score 1 goal, you can score 5 goals, or you really literally don't score anything. And I'm a coach, and believe it or not, I believe in a term where they say you miss goals and you lose games, because what ends up happening is you miss an opportunity, and the other team right seconds after that is counterattacking you and it's scoring on you, right? But if you would have finished, the ball would have stopped right there. You would have been up 1-0, 2-0, whatever the case may be. And that's exactly what happened during the game. We saw it on 2-3 occasions where Chelsea had opportunities to score, and all of a sudden, here comes Man City on a counterattack, and it was like, oh, man, grab, just hope for the worst, you know what I mean? Let's see what happens, and that's what happened. So at the end of the day, we were just nerve-wracking. Obviously, the goal gave me a little bit more of comfort, but we knew what Man City was capable of, and all they needed was just that 1 goal just to get a little bit of hype so that they can overcome the game. But, luckily, we came on the upside, and I'm happy, man.
Aurelio, let me ask you this. Obviously, one of the biggest noticeable substitutions, or not substitutions, but switches for the beginning of the game was that Raheem Sterling got the start for Man City, a player who obviously we've known in the past who has scored a lot of goals under Pep Guardiola's Man City, has been a real focal point. But for the last 2 months, whether it be league play, cup play, or even Champions League play, has not really been featured for whatever reason. And yet he's given the start for the Champions League final over. And then noticeably, we see that he doesn't have a formidable 6, which usually is for Fernandinho or Rugby. Do you think it was the right move for Pep Guardiola to put in Sterling, especially when he hasn't been getting that much game time, to be putting him in a crucial game like this? Or is it that he just trusted Raheem Sterling because he's always been there for him?
I don't know if it's just, well, you have to trust a player to begin with if you're going to have him on your team at some point. I think it was just Pep being Pep. He was overthinking it. He overthought it. Who knows what goes through that guy's mind before a game, especially having a couple days before a game. I'm pretty sure he had 5 or 6 different setups, and he chose one. I don't think it was the best move he did. I kind of understand it a little bit because Sterling is a wing play, and Chelsea does have a lot of speed up front, so it's something that could have helped him kind of defending a little bit, but at the same time going forward with that speed. But I'm like, it didn't plan out the way he would hope for.
And it's interesting because obviously we saw the absence of the defensive mid because Chelsea was running rampant. They weren't scoring the goals they needed to score, but they were able to flow loosely throughout the field, and were able to make the passes, were able to make the runs needed to be real dangerous in the attacking and Man City's attacking half, right? Man, it's disappointing because obviously, when you look at both teams on paper, obviously we know both teams are talented, right? They have mega talents. A lot of players that play for big national teams have played big games. Obviously, the difference here is that Man City have the experience and Chelsea have the youth, right? I think if Pep would have just gone in with his regular play or style of play that he's been playing, I think this would have been a no doubter for Man City, and they would have won easily. But man, just it's crazy how one player, how switching one player can interrupt your whole flow.
You can say that, but I'm like, if he would have played like that and you had the same outcome, you would have been, why didn't he change something?
Well, but see, I don't think you would have that much of a like why, because it was working for him, right? Everything up to that point has been working for him. Now he switched it, And now
The guy changes formations. Well, maybe not formations, but he changes players all the time.
No. You can change players. That's fine. You
So
change
it's
players.
so
But
it
go ahead.
to me it's just like he just overthought it, just like he normally does in any big game. He usually overthinks himself and he kills himself on it. But
Yeah.
I'm like, at the end of the day, I'm like, he made a change for a reason. Only he knows why, or his team knows why. But
I mean, I think naturally he wanted to go have a more attack minded team because obviously you're taking away a defensive mid for another central midfielder, right? And then on top of that, you're adding Sterling up there, who's a player that has been there for you, scored goals for you, But like I said, because of the fact that he changed what he was doing, the formation and style that got him there, he didn't play. That's why people are kind of questioning it. But you're right. I mean, if he would have kept with the same thing, who knows?
But you had to change it because he had already lost to Chelsea with the team you're describing
twice.
Well,
so why wouldn't you change it? Why would you put the same thing out there if your results haven't been good?
It's true. I mean, you got to be looking at different options. And I think that's what Pep got kind of like twisted a little bit. You're like, okay, wait, the first game we lost it because we didn't do this. The second game we lost it because we didn't do this. And so now you're facing a third game and obviously changes got to come. But again, why change what was working for you when you were playing the Champions League? Because remember,
because you're playing you're playing a team that had already beat you playing that style.
Exactly. In your own league that knows you very well.
Yeah.
And that's
so
why
you have to change it.
Yeah, exactly. And so, I mean, if Man City would have faced Real Madrid or anybody else in the final,
it would have probably been a different team.
He would have played the same concept because it's easier when you play these teams that don't play you all year round than when you play somebody in your own league.
Let's put this to you, Fidel. You're a coach,
right?
You're going to play the same team 3 times.
Right.
The first two games you lost to them. Are you going to put the same team out there the third time?
No. And let me tell you that's what's so hard, right? Because I play teams in my district twice a year, right? The visitor and the home, right? And when we go to playoffs, all the teams that I face, they don't know me. But there's somewhere along the lines in the playoffs, if we win and our teams in our district that qualify to play also win, we get to face each other. So when that time comes and we get to face those teams, it is the most difficult playoff game you could ever think of because we know each other so well, our strength, our weaknesses. So you have to make changes. You have to let them know that you're coming in with something different. And that's what's going to define the game. And I think that's where Pep was. So at the end of the day, you question it, right? But it is what it is, man. I mean, it's tough. You can only hope that it works.
And before we go to the next topic, obviously we want to give a shout out to N'Golo Kante because obviously I think he's the player of the tournament. Honestly, obviously he's not the top goal scorer or the top assist guy, but that guy, he covers the whole midfielder like nobody else. Like this guy has 3 sets of lungs running in him, man. Obviously player of the match again for Chelsea. Shut down De Bruyne. I mean, obviously it's an unfortunate thing, the injury that De Bruyne suffered in I believe the 70th minute to his face. I think he had a little bit of a fracture in his face or around his eye or whatever. I'm not too sure what the details are on that or how he's progressing along with that. But yeah, man, but he had shut down De Bruyne up to that point regardless. So it wasn't that big of a loss, even though, it was one of those things.
Let me just go ahead and say this. Juan Martinez is actually watching us live right now. He says, I was disappointed on how the Manchester City players chose to have the wrong time to pick their worst game. I don't put everything on Pep, which is true. You can't do that,
Yeah. I mean, like I said, it's like we mentioned in the Spanish show, coaches are going to go put the players that they think the best can suit to win the game, right? But then it's up to the players to be able to complete that objective and do the things necessary to win the game. But, like I said, we're all going to Monday morning quarterback it because, obviously we know the result. We know how it ended. And now we're going to pick and see where they did wrong and et cetera, et cetera. But when you're in that moment in time, I mean, you're thinking you're going with the best solution to win this game. And it's one game. So, I mean, but,
I like to put it the other way. What if Man City would have scored and Chelsea would have still have Timo Werner up there, which hasn't done
Man City would have won.
No.
That's all Man City needed. One goal.
Well, yeah. But
what he's saying
I'm just saying, like, if we reverse the roles, let's say Man City scores, but you still have a Timo Werner up front that literally has not done anything for you, what's the first thing you're going to say once that game's over?
Yeah,
Why
obviously.
is he playing?
Why didn't you play Giroud? Why didn't you play Tammy Abrams? Yeah. No. Obviously, yeah. Obviously, the winners always end up looking like geniuses, and the losers always end up looking like idiots. So
It was a great game. I'm like,
it was a good
congrats
game.
to Chelsea. I'm like, nothing against anybody, but
For sure. But man, moving on to the next, we're gonna go international teams. Obviously, we know all the leagues are done; they're closed. Everybody's crowned a champion. All the big clubs have gone into recruiting mode and about to go into the summer transfer window, which starts here in a couple of days, in 6 days to be exact. But with that being said, a lot of international competition is going on at the moment. And right now, obviously, one going on that's really big in our region, and that's the CONCACAF Nations League semifinals. USA won the one that just finished right now, 1-0. So they will be in the final, awaiting who comes out the outcome from Costa Rica and Mexico. 1-0 win by, I can't pronounce this young player's name, but he plays for Young Boys in Denmark, I think. Young Boys is the Denmark team, I think. I'm not mistaken.
I know they scored. I didn't see who actually scored.
Yeah,
Pep Talk, something like that.
Yeah. Well, he's a forward for a team called Young Boys. I can't remember. I want to say it's a Danish team. I'm not too familiar. If one of y'all can Google it and see it real quick, let me know. But yeah, he scored. But this kid is phenomenal. He scored 16 goals in league play for that Young Boys team. They're European. They play in Europa League, so that's why I know them. So Sinachu. There we go. Thank you, Patrick. But yeah, that kid is one of the future bright spots for those guys, but a young kid as well. He scored, I think, about 16, 17 league goals this past year.
Swiss league.
There we go. So somebody who knows how to score, who's played in European competition. But yeah, USA 1-0 advances to the finals, and right now, as we speak, Costa Rica, Mexico. Obviously, we spoke about this a little bit on the chat, man. And Fidel. Oh, actually, Aurelio, I'm gonna go with you first on this one. I think it would be a disappointment for the U.S. not to come out this summer lifting up one of those two trophies, right? In my opinion, I think they should be lifting up both trophies if they want to be taken seriously and take that next step forward to pronouncing that they're the number one team in this region. Because obviously we know the talent that they have on the squad. We know all the European talent that plays on the squad and XYZ. But like others have mentioned, it doesn't matter who plays where. It matters how the team plays and how they have chemistry together and what happens on the pitch. Obviously, the result that we just saw, 1-0 against Honduras, is not the result we're looking for. But they won and they're advancing to the final. You obviously, I know you're a huge Mexico supporter. Obviously you expect Mexico to beat Costa Rica, but we'll see what happens. Obviously, you still got to play the game before you can predict the final. But do you think it's a disappointment if USA does not come out with at least one of the two titles that's up for grabs in the summer?
No.
So you think Mexico's still the dominant team?
I'm like, you have to understand, you have a very young team. Yes, some of them do play in Europe, or pretty much all of them play in Europe. A lot of them don't play in big leagues either. A lot of them don't get a lot of minutes either. But at the same time, you have a new coach. It's a very young team. It's going to take time for that team to gel. You can't just expect something just because we have a bunch of players playing from somewhere that you're automatically expect to win. Every team expects to win, but if you want this team to be where it should be, it's going to take at least 2 years.
Well,
to be.
I can honestly tell you, Aurelio, to a certain extent, it's a shame that the U.S. doesn't have a huge potential, right? It's a shame, right? And now that you start hearing all these big names and young names, it kind of gives you like a hype, right? But I got to tell you something. This team really has to create something. If they're not going to win a title, which I think they should win, at least one, the Nations Cup or the Copa Oro. And I get it. They have to create some kind of chemistry. They have to get some experience. They have to play together a long ways in order for them to do that. But if they do well this time around or in any of these two tournaments right now, it says big things for the future for the U.S.
Yeah,
soccer.
exactly.
Because,
That's where I was
it's,
going to go.
mental, right? If they're like,
Yeah.
we've done it before, we can do it again, and we have the next 7-8 years ahead of us to do it, right?
And
To get better, to grow, right?
Exactly. That's
So-
what I'm saying. I'm like, I don't think it's a disappointment if they don't actually win something this summer.
Right.
I'm like, as
But it's
long as
important.
as long as they're playing and they show progress, that shows something.
Okay, this is the thing, though. In my opinion, look, because we know CONCACAF is run Mexico and USA. That's 1A, 1B, right? So it's either or. I mean, very rarely you'll see somebody. You'll see a Canada win a Gold Cup once, and I think it was in 2000. You'll see another team make a final, but nobody ever lifts the trophy aside unless it's Mexico or USA, right? But but for either or, I'm talking about both Mexico and USA. If one of them is just to take the bull by the horns and to really put their stance on CONCACAF and put their foot down and say, hey, I'm the leader of this region, I'm the king here, then one of those two have to win both tournaments. And for USA, the fact of the matter is, they're young, right? They're young. I think the most experienced player is John Brooks, who plays for Wolfsburg in Germany, and I think he's
probably Pulisic.
But Pulisic, he's like 24. I think Brooks is like 28, 29. So he's like the most veteran, leader right there. With that being said, everybody else is 25 and younger for the most part. So imagine if USA can complete this and win Nations League and win the Gold Cup this summer as a young team, how much more confidence that goes for them going forward. Because sometimes we want to wait because they're too young, they're not ready yet. Let's give them some time to grow. But what if they do it when they're young, man? Like that's something to really look forward to. Like as an American supporter, rooting for the American national team, that's something that you really want to, grasp. Like, hey, if these guys go out and win Nations League Cup and win the Gold Cup, that's huge.
And that's exactly what Samuel Campos is saying here with us. He says, U.S. needs chemistry and the leader. Jacob Ramos says they need consistency and need to find a goal scorer. Sargent isn't it. And then Samuel answers with, problem is that the U.S. has larger gaps recently to build the team. No consistency. Now, we're talking about these things, right? The U.S. has potential, guys. These guys are young. You said Brooks is 29, and he's probably the oldest there. But, I mean, come on. Again, who's the leader? Who's the one that's going to step up? Who's going to point fingers? Who's going to give directions on the field? It can't just always come from the coach. You can't see too much individualism, and you can't see too many quiet mouths. You need somebody to scream. You need somebody to point fingers. Because at the end of the day, that someone gives other players confidence. It gives them a boost. It gives them a sense of somebody's backing me up. I got this. I could do this. You need somebody that can remind you, hey, listen, you're playing a game. Get your head in the game. Don't stop freaking making mistakes, whatever the case may be. And this is important, like I always say, man, the U.S. has a lot of pressure right now. And of course, we know Mexico is el papá de todos, everybody's dad in CONCACAF. There's no doubt. And if U.S. can upset Mexico, because that's the only one they got to upset, Mexico, right? And not be upset by anybody else, right? It's a big hit. And it's going to say a lot for what's to come in the future. Because at the end of the day, we're talking about all these young kids who are playing in bigger clubs, bigger European clubs. Put that note, bigger European clubs than most of the Mexican players playing in Europe. That's a true fact. So the pressure on both sides.
No, yeah, and that's what we look for, and that's what we look at. I mean, obviously, we know we have players that play in the biggest clubs. We have players that play in Barcelona and Juventus, and Lily, who just won the league and took away from PSG. Players of that nature.
Yeah, we have one there too. No,
but it's the thing. But the thing of the matter is, like, sometimes we're so stuck to, obviously, we know that there needs to be a leader, somebody who can pick the team up when they're not doing what they're supposed to and yell at the players. But let's let somebody develop. I mean, what if somebody comes up, during this cycle, during this, 2021 summer, that's a big boost, because we don't see it, or we don't think of any of the players that are currently on the pitch as leadership material. We don't know, we expect to see somebody because, of the old USA teams where we see probably like Tim Howard yelling at somebody, or Clint Dempsey yelling at somebody, or whatever. But
that's
but
what you
this new
need.
generation, to be honest, they're not confrontational like that. They don't go out and yell. It's not really like that. It's not like the
It's
old.
funny you say that because me and Jacob had a little conversation on Snap about that,
Shout out to Jacob too, man. What's up, man?
about the newer generation being, and I quote, being weak. So you can't have that kind of attitude on the soccer field.
Maybe weak isn't the right.
It's weak.
Mm.
I would say another word, but I would
Yeah.
probably get in trouble.
I don't know. If you ask me, like the U.S. is in the verge of creating or destroying a golden generation. It could go either way, right?
Yeah.
But why do I say this? Because
Tell that to the Mexican fans.
because that group of players that where Donovan was at his prime, that didn't let Mexico beat him for like 6-7 years. Not one game did they lose against Mexico for like 6-7 years, or maybe even more. That group had courage, pride. I mean, they fought Mexico tooth for tooth. And the days or the games that they knew that they couldn't beat Mexico, they knew that they had a chance against Mexico if they play a certain style of a game. And they all applied it. They all played it consistently and disciplined, right? So this group, I don't know if the U.S. plan is to make this group build chemistry, and on the short term, let them build some kind of chemistry so that it can be competitive in the next 2 to 3 years, or if they're really trying to push this group to actually start winning things as of this moment.
Look,
because it goes either way.
Look, and I'm gonna close on this last thought before we move on. But like, yeah, man, like you said, we're on the cusp of maybe the U.S. going into really their first golden generation. Because let's be real, the Dempsey, Landon, Donovan era was great. They made some noise and this and here and that, but it didn't achieve what they meant to achieve. What they wanted to achieve. This generation has way higher ceiling. So if everything goes right, there's an opportunity for them to really go forward and do some big things. But yeah, we'll leave it at that, man. But before we go on to our last topic, man, obviously here in La Banca Podcast, we tried to advance and keep going and move on with things, and luckily for us, we finally have some sponsorship, man. And I'm gonna let Fidel here come in with that. Obviously, the people at Rock Creek Ready Mix, Fidel, let them know.
That's right. If you're ready to get yourself a nice foundation, if you're building your brand new house, a driveway, or something, some kind of project on your backyard with your patio, our friends from Rock Creek Ready Mix are ready for you guys. They got a solid foundation, which means that they're really going to build something amazing for you guys that will last you a lifetime, right? Our friends from Solid Foundation, you can always get in contact with Andy Sierra at 281-301-8313. Andy Sierra at 281-301-8313. And of course, let them know La Banca Podcast sent you guys. And again, it's Rock Creek. Anything from foundations, driveways, patios, parking lots, buildings, anything that has to do with concrete, any type of PSI, any type of thickness. They'll come out, they'll measure everything for you guys. They'll be honest with you, and whatever extra they go over, they're going to let you know that they're going to cut it from you. And of course, if you let them know that our friends from Banca Podcast sent you, you're definitely going to get a better price. They're located in Rose Sharon, Texas. So any of you guys are out there in Missouri City, Sugarland, or even Alvin or Angleton, or even, Lake City, let them know, man. They're out there for you guys to help you out. It's a family-owned business. So you can always contact Andy Sierra at 281-301-8313. Rock Creek Ready Mix, a solid foundation. Be ready. Let's go.
Man, that's amazing. First time, advertisement here on the English show. I know we've had them on for the Spanish show, but to have them on both shows, that's an amazing thing. Shout out to the Rock Creek guys over there, Pollo, Andy, all those guys out there. Shout out to those guys. But yeah, coming to the last topic of the day, man, guys. Obviously, this is a abbreviated version of the show from the Spanish show. I know we talked a long time over there, but let's get to it, man. The two biggest clubs in the world, Barcelona and Real Madrid, having a coaching situation. Obviously, one of them, their coach is staying. Another one, an old coach returns. Barcelona today announced that Ronald Koeman is staying in Barcelona. Real Madrid announced yesterday that they're bringing back Carlos Ancelotti. For those who know me, Huge fan of Carlos Ancelotti, what he did during his time at Milan. Not really a big fan of what he's done for Madrid. Could care less, but whatever. That's neither here nor there. But he's coming back. Obviously, there's a little bit of a tug of war here between Madrid fans because some were expecting a big change, somebody different who hasn't been here before, and others are kind of happy to see Carlos Ancelotti because obviously he brought the 10th Champions League to Real Madrid, the success that they had during that time period, and all the other stuff. Aurelio, I'm gonna give it to you first, man. Your thoughts on Carlos Ancelotti returning to Real Madrid?
It's good for him and good for Real Madrid. Honestly, I think the last time he was let go or he left, I'm not 100% sure. I know he wasn't happy, but he knew he only has one. He would only probably get one opportunity in a club like that, and luckily, he did everything right at Everton that they caught his eye again. So bringing somebody back that knows the team, not the team as in players, but as what the club is, and I'm happy for him.
You say that they're bringing him back because he knows the club and everything good that he's done with Everton. But do you think they brought him back because they just couldn't find nobody else to fill that?
They're thieves, bro.
So, I'll let you run with it, Fidel. Go ahead. They're thieving. Well, why are they thieving?
Come on, now you got to think about it, man. Madrid has done this plenty of times, bro. If they can't find a coach who's available who doesn't have a job, they're gonna go and steal another coach from somebody else. I know some people are like, no, how they stealing it, and nobody will say no. Of course, nobody's gonna say no to Madrid. The money's there, the opportunity is there.
There's coaches that have said no to them.
Oh, but I mean, like coaches who are in teams right now. You know what I'm saying? Like at this moment, you got to think about one thing, right? The pandemic happens. The only one that has a lot, well, the very few teams that have a lot of money are going to steal the best coaches from other teams, right? And why do I say this? Well, because Madrid had three other choices. And Madrid was expecting Zidane to make a choice. Zidane made a choice, but after two or three of their choices, I already picked jobs, right? And so here comes Madrid saying, who do we take? Who do we steal from these other clubs to be able to bring them over to our club? Hey, shame on you, man. Shame on you. And let me say why. Because you've done this even to your own national team in the verge of playing a World Cup. And to me, that's what did the downfall of Spain in the last World Cup. So Madrid, you always want to be in the spotlight. You always want to be in everybody's mouth on social media. Shame on you, man. Have a little bit of decencia, like we say in Spanish. Like, be more decent about it, man.
You say all this about Real Madrid, but the coach could have said no.
But
I get it, but who's gonna say no, really? Who's gonna say no?
You know,
Arsene Wenger said no twice.
Come on.
Good old Wenger. But you know what's funny?
You have to have it if you really want it. You have to have it.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, that's right, Aurelio. But this time it seems a little different, man. Just from looking at it from afar. I mean, obviously, I don't want to go into it as from Barcelonistas view because obviously I go for Barcelona. But from just a standpoint as a regular fan, it looks like the luster of being in Madrid is not there like it used to be. Like the wanting to be the head coach of Real Madrid is kind of the same thing of wanting to be the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys or something like that. It's just
you have to understand too. These teams, the higher elite teams, I'm like, if you don't perform within a couple months, you're replaced.
But you get your money.
Yeah. But
sometimes a lot of these coaches rather have maybe be with a smaller team and have more potential or have a longer stand,
more security,
or
even more control, right? Because let's think about it. Ancelotti's coming in, and
we don't know what he has control of. We don't know what kind of decisions he's able to input in. So I'm like, at the end of the day, it's something that's going to be between them, and I don't think we'll ever know exactly what.
But
Florentino wants to clean house, and Ancelotti wants to work it out with some of the
and that's where I'm gonna go to with this before we head on to the Barcelona side, right? It seems a little odd too because Ancelotti comes in and he comes talking about like, hey, you know what? No, we're gonna make it work with Isco. We're gonna make it work with Gareth Bale. We're gonna make it work with Hazard. Hazard has great talent, blah blah. Then you hear Hazard coming after him. Hey, I know the first 2 years of my Madrid career have not been what I wanted them to be. I've been injured and all of them, but I'm here to stay. I got 3 more years to prove myself, and that number 7 shirt ain't nobody taking it away from me.
But at the same time, when a coach comes in, you have to give him a chance of what's out there to pick and choose. I'm like, depending on the style he's going to play, I'm like, some of these players might actually do good under him, some might not. But you have to let that play out. You can't just bring in a bunch of players and expect something. You have to give him the chance to see what's going to work for him, what's not, and then from there, that's when you pick. Instead of bringing in 5 or 6 players, maybe you only need 2 or 3.
Yeah, no, and that's understandable. But and especially when you bring in a coach who's real familiar with the players that you currently have, because I mean, our other co-host, Little Man, he was already, hey, Luka Vasquez is going to Bayern Munich, but Luka Vasquez just signed 3 years extension yesterday. Players like Isco, who
that means I'm like, if he plays good, I'm like, you can probably sell him for a lot more because he has a longer contract extended. So
that's true.
At the end of the day, it's about money.
So we got some active people right here on social media. Right now, Samair Campos said Ancelotti did it for the resume, the money, and the clout to continue to use to land higher profile jobs. Jacob Ramos says, man, Ancelotti has done it all at every level but national team. He's done it as a player, as a coach. Ancelotti works with current team and doesn't make big waves. Real finally has young talent who are starting to come to its own professionals. To their own as professionals. We still have Kubo on the guard. We have quality. We just need a goal scorer, bringing Kane. And Samir Campos keeps saying Ancelotti can't change it all out anyways, but no budget.
And it's great that they mentioned the fact that it seems like okay, if we're gonna listen to our co-host Little Man, it seems like Real Madrid's about to clean house and bring in a whole batch of new players. They're gonna take over the soccer role. Nope. But that doesn't look to be the case here. It looks to be the fact that they're going to keep their players. Most of them, they might bring 1 or 2 additions aside from Alaba. They might bring 1 more player or 2 players in, depending if they can fit it in the budget, because this 200 million that supposedly they have in reserves and all this other crap, it doesn't seem to exist apparently. And to bring in Ancelotti, somebody who's familiar with the players and can bring out the best in those players, it's a great move by Madrid. Obviously you have to applaud that. So we'll see what happens. I don't know if they're going to be as active as Madrid fans would hope to be in the summer transfer window, but we'll see. I guess the thing is, as long as they get Mbappe, everything is solved. But we'll see if that even comes to fruition, this summer, or if it doesn't. But obviously, we're going to go to the other side of Spain. Barcelona decided to keep their coach, Ronald Koeman. I'm for it as a Barcelona fan. Obviously he showed his true pride for Barcelona and heart, how much he cares for the club, to leave his stance as national team head coach with the Netherlands to come help Barcelona at a time where they were struggling, with the whole Bartomeu cloud.
Fidel, I want that same energy. I want that same energy about thieves.
Yeah, I know Fidel has his views on it, but
I can see your true colors now.
Has a different view on it, but we also got to applaud the fact that Koeman did fairly well for what he was handed. The beginning of the season. The beginning of the season, like I said, a lot of dark clouds hovering around Barcelona where you couldn't even worry about the first team football. The whole thing with the Messi saga, whether he's going to stay or he's going to go, and things of that nature. But Fidel, obviously, you have a different opinion than what I'd have. Let it be heard. Let it be known.
Look, I get it. You're coming in to take or save Barcelona in a position where you're taking Barcelona at a tough moment, and you're the only one who's willing to come in and risk yourself and put yourself out there, right?
He was stolen.
Koeman, yeah,
he was stolen. Come on, I want that.
He was stolen, and that's where I come in with all the rich teams. Shame on you guys, right? Shame on you guys but at the same time, let's face it, he's coming from a Holland team who hasn't done well in years since the World Cup in 2018 or before that, right? So I want to say this. Ancelotti hasn't done anything good for Barcelona but one thing. Koeman. Maybe 2 things, right? And those 2 things are play the young players, which is very important because it says a lot about Barcelona's future and their potential, right? I think it's good to play these young guys because as they get playing time, you get to see their talent, you get to exploit them. They get to sell for more money if you're going to sell them, or if you're going to keep them, how are you going to grow them, or if there's future in the club to keep them, right?
But also, I'm like, it's good that he's playing them, but did he have any other choice?
Exactly. So that's where I'm coming from, right? With playing all these players, Messi was going to be Messi, and having all these young guys under Messi, he was going to become a leader. So Koeman didn't have a choice, like you said, right? But that was the only two good things that happened. Now, if you look at a lot of the games where Koeman was actually facing very tough teams, or actually had teams that he should have beaten or should have had gotten different results, he didn't make a difference. He made Barcelona struggle. The only one that took Barcelona from not doing bad was Messi. And Messi was saving Barcelona left and right like he's been doing the last 3-4 years. But he can't do it himself. Koeman couldn't put pieces around him that will help him win games. And a lot of these games that they won was by luck. And let me just finish.
We just came up to them. Like, it's not like they have the pieces to help him.
I get it, and I'm coming with that. But there was a certain time in the game where things were working out for Koeman. Pedri was in there doing some jobs that were looking really good, okay? And the defense, Araujo was stepping up, Mingueza was stepping up. And then you go back and you take Pedri on a huge game that you're supposed to win against Granada, or I don't remember who. You take Pedri out and you put Piqué, you put Umtiti. I mean, shame on you, bro.
You know,
if things are working for you, keep them up, bro. You can't afford to lose or tie a game. Don't do this, man. And he blew it. He blew it for Barcelona everywhere.
Look, I understand what you're saying as far as, maybe his substitutions or his tactical changes, or the players he decided to put in the starting 11 for a set game might be questionable, and that's understandable. You're always going to question the coach, especially when the results don't go the right way, right? But the thing of the matter is, like Aurelio too, he just didn't have the depth, and at that time, he just didn't have the. He didn't have the confidence in the players. We had a lot of young players, right? And then you bring in players. You put players like, which I don't agree with either. I didn't agree with starting Piqué over Araujo, and I can't remember which game. I think it was the Super Copa final, or whatever. I don't know if I remember correctly. I don't like the fact that he brought him in first game as soon as coming back from a leg injury like that. That wasn't right. That wasn't the right move. But I understood why he did it, as far as having a veteran presence back there for a big game that these young players are not prepared for yet, that haven't played in a big game yet, to lift the trophy. I understand, and obviously the fact that they lost that Super Cup, it makes him look like an idiot. But if they would have won it, they would have been like, oh, Piqué returned as a hero. Koeman put him in. He was smart, blah blah blah. But it didn't go his way.
Names don't make a difference anymore, bro. If you look at it, names don't make a difference anymore.
I understand.
The past is the past. Yeah. And another thing is, I think Barca would have been way down on the table as far as points. I don't think Barca would even be fighting for a title in the last 5 games. I think Barca should have been way, way below. They got lucky on a few of those games, and Barca should have actually been, instead of 4 points from first place, Barca should have been maybe 10, 12 points away. And that would have made a difference. That would have really made a difference, and Koeman wouldn't have stayed.
Before we end the show, I'm going to go to the chat real quick, because Jacob and Sama are here having their own show on the chat. So
yeah, they're fighting.
Let's go.
Jacob says, he could have said no, laugh out loud. Sama says, Barcelona need a foundation built now, and Koeman is not a bad pick to do it. Koeman set the Holland team back on track, and hopefully he can do the same for Barcelona. Dude, did they not steal Koeman? Laugh out loud. Barca make big bad money moves, which I agree with, but that was under the Bartomeu structure,
it's what is affecting you now.
Yeah, and luckily, like I said, look, I'll say this, and I'll just deter it a little bit. Barca winning that second treble under Luis Enrique in 2015, which every Barcelona fan is going to celebrate it, applaud it, and everything. But unfortunately, because of that, it covered up a lot of things that was going on in the front office that we weren't aware of, because we're too busy celebrating trophies at that moment, right? And now it's come to bite us in the ass, and we're feeling the effects of it right now. But hopefully, we can get out of this here in 2 or 3 years, whatever time it hopefully is not, it's rather sooner rather than later, but we'll see. Jacob says, Barca, I'm sorry. Jacob says, but isn't Barca praised because they bring in young players? That's their whole mantra. Yeah, that is their whole mantra. But they've steered away from that under Bartomeu, bringing in big money moves like if they were Real Madrid, bringing in Coutinho, Dembele, Griezmann.
Exactly.
You know, they were trying to go the Madrid route. You know, but that doesn't work for them.
It doesn't work for them. Yeah, that's why they have the Masia. The Masia is a huge investment. So why mess with La Masia, right?
For sure. But guys,
they invested in, and they have nothing in there.
Oh, they have a lot.
No. They have a lot in there. They other teams are picking them off and taking them to their teams.
Well, but why is that?
Because they got so many big names like Madrid in their team, and that's why they're looking bad. Because if they really want to go back to the old days, they gotta find players like Xavi, Iniesta, Busquets, Piquet, and so forth. And La Masia is that foundation.
Piquet, though.
They forgot about that.
I don't know about a Piquet, even in his so-called prime.
But during the summer transfer window, I expect Barcelona to cut off the fat. You know, all the players that are not necessary, that are on big wages, and replace them with the young players that are coming up for La Masia. We'll see how it goes. But guys, obviously we're at the end of the show. You know, we want to appreciate everybody out there who came up on the chat. Amanda, we saw you. Sama, Jacob, appreciate you. Pato, what's up, man?
Yo, shout out to my boy Crudos, Kel, Texas. My boy Sam up in the house. The World Cup is neither a world nor a cup. Discuss. We're gonna be talking about that later on, bro.
That's some real life. You know. That's some high level questioning right there. Yeah. But guys, I appreciate all the love and outcomes. You know, I know we do this English show a little later than what we usually wanted to, but you know, we do it because y'all asked for it, and here we are. Please, guys, for those who watch us later on, please give us a thumbs up, a like, subscribe to the channel, and tell your friends about us. Obviously we love talking soccer. We're gonna have a lot of soccer to talk about here pretty soon, in the summer months, and we'll be available to y'all a lot more often than what we usually are. So please, share it to your friends, let them know about let them know about us and all that good stuff. But guys, if anything else, Fidel, you want to say anything before we go?
Nah, man, shout out to you guys. Look up our boys from Rock Crate. Let them know that we sent you guys, and we'll see you next Thursday.
For sure. Aurelio?
I just want to thank out some of these guys that were out here, putting an extra show for us. Sama, Jacob, Crudo. I'm like, we definitely need to get Sama and Jacob in here.
That's right.
A show with all five of us.
And our boy Crudo, he can come in here too, man. He's capable of. He has a lot of info.
That's good. Bring him on.
We all welcome them all. But guys, we'll see you next Thursday, hopefully,
Yeah, man. Stay safe.
Have a good one.